Hello? What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another KingJvpes video. Now today we're going to be looking at and reviewing the K&F Concept adapters. Now I love these little adapters and I think they're really dope because they pretty much allow you to adapt any vintage film camera lens over to your Sony Mirrorless, your Fuji, your Olympus, you name it. You can pretty much get any vintage lens and slap it on your camera. Now a quick disclaimer, the folks over at K&F Concept actually provided me with one or two of these to review, but I've used these actually before they even sent them over to me for about a year to 2 years, especially when I still had my Sony A7II. And with the Sony A7II line, there wasn't a lot of lenses out there that, actually appealed to me, and I wanted to try out different focal lengths. So I bought some of these adapters and I started adapting my old vintage Minolta lenses over to it. Now let's just dive straight into the adapters. For starters, when you order these adapters, they will come packaged in a small plastic box. They make them in various lens and body combinations, so make sure you find the right lens mount and body for your setup. Now here is the adapter, most of which is made out of metal, including the lens and body mount on either side. The form factor is actually quite thick, so make sure you keep that in mind when you attach this to your lens. It's gonna make your whole entire setup a bit longer. Now other than that, the adapter stays pretty sleek and minimal, which I've learned to appreciate, especially when adapting lenses over for street shooting. Now unlike some other adapters, these adapters are actually really easy to connect your lens to. The first step is to grab both lens and adapter and find the red dot. Once you find the two markings, line them up and carefully connect them together and twist till it locks in place. Once you've completed this step, it's a matter of just lining up the adapter to your camera, twisting and locking. If you ever want to change your lens, simply find the little metal tab, press it down and twist your lens off like normal. Now to put the adapters to the test, Drew and I actually went out to San Francisco earlier today and shot some portraits with this guy right here. This is the 45mm Minolta Rocore f2, and it's arguably one of the best lenses for the Minolta system. And so I'm gonna pop up a couple of images here, also maybe some B-roll clips of us shooting today, just so you guys can see they actually do work on your cameras. So Drew took the camera over. She's now taking photos of me. This is weird. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this might actually be one of the best investments you can make, especially if you're starting into digital photography or if you don't have a lot of money for other lenses. Not everybody has $600 to spend on just one lens, and what you can do is buy one of these for about under 20 bucks and get a couple of your favorite vintage lenses that you use on your film cameras and start adapting them over. And what you'll find is that a lot of these vintage lenses are actually really sharp and they can produce amazing images that are comparable to some of today's glass. But before we conclude my review on this, there are a couple of things I want to mention that you got to keep in mind before making your purchase. And the first thing is, because of its build quality and its size and mostly being made out of metal, you're gonna notice that it's actually really thick. So when you adapt lenses over like this 50mm 1.4, it's already somewhat, it's a small lens in a way, but when you adapt it over to the adapter here, it becomes an even longer lens. So if you're a fan of shorter lenses, or maybe you want to adapt like a smaller lens like the 45mm f2, you have to keep into consideration that your overall setup after the adapter is going to be much longer. The second thing that I want to talk about is the wiggle. Now, I don't know if it's just my adapter in particular or if it's just this lens, but I've noticed that when I adapt the 51.4 to this adapter, after you lock into place, it will still wiggle just a little bit. Not too much, but enough to kind of get me worried about, holding my camera by my lens. But who holds their camera by their lens anyways? Now, I do want to add that the wiggle is actually very minimal, and most of the time when you're shooting, you're not going to really notice it unless, you're focusing really hard. But most of the time, you're not going to really notice the wiggle, and it's kind of just there, kind of like an OCD problem that I have. But if you overlook those two flaws, these adapters come at an incredible value. The ability to be able to attach any vintage lens over to your mirrorless camera allows you to pretty much experiment with different focal lengths, different apertures, and get different looks for a mildly cheap price. Now to conclude my review, I would highly recommend the K&F Concept adapters. But that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to purchase one of these adapters for yourself, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description below, which is an affiliate link, and it'll help me out every time you make a purchase through it. Also, shameless plug, if you guys want to read a review on the 45mm f2, this legendary lens. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below to an article that I did on my website. So thank you guys again. Also, thank you K&F Concept for sending some of these over, and I'll see you guys next time. Get out there, start using these adapters, and create some art.